Welcome back to the channel, everybody. So we have a lot of things going on with XRP. We have a lot of things going on with Bitcoin. Everything's looking good in my humble opinion. This first article is titled Ripple CEO reacts to major XRP milestone. Later on, there's an article we're going to cover later. I want you to tell me why that's happening. That's major, but we'll get to that a little bit later. This article begins as such. Yesterday, May 19th, CME Group announced the launch of XRP and micro XRP futures on the X platform. This is Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse praised the development, calling it a, quote, key institutional milestone for XRP. It's all about those institutions. Get them involved however you can. Bring them in. Get them involved. Get them comfortable. You know what happens when they get comfortable? They start to hand their money over. They get more comfortable dealing with the technology. Or if they're not dealing with the technology, putting their money into the system, utilizing the technology. There's one or the other. Either way, you want to get them involved, more of them involved. A lot of them are already involved. But let's continue on. It says, for now on, institutional players will be able to gain exposure to XRP without owning the actual coin. Traders can also trade futures outright or agree to buy or sell them on a fixed basis to the day's index close, with large trades facilitated through block trades. According to Garlinghouse, Ripple's acquired prime brokerage firm Hidden Road executed the first block trade at market open. All right, so things are flowing. Things are looking pretty good. Let's move on here to this next article. All right. I hope all of you are doing well. Hey, if you enjoy the video at any point, smash, click, whatever that like button, do something with that like button. Take your little hand, click that like button, take your remote control and go like that to that like button. All right. All right. So now second article here. If it'll load, I'm waiting. Just like you're waiting. I'm waiting on this to load. You know why it takes a long time to load? There's two ads right here. Then there's probably a pop. Yes, there is a pop-up. There's a video ad popping up. That's why it takes a while to load, okay? All right. I'm letting you know. All right. All right. So now this article is titled America's Oldest Law School Says XRP Holders Have Bought a Slice of Ripple's Future Cash Flow. Now, that's what I like to hear. This is coming from the University of Texas. This is what it says. It says here, the report authored by University of Texas law professor James C. Spindler and published in May 2025 asserts that XRP buyers essentially acquire an economic interest in Ripple's future revenue streams. However, it also suggests a legal gray area that complicates the situation. Now, let me give credit where credit is due, as the article is doing here. Now, someone, I believe the name is Smoke, says Smoke this was brought to the forefront by somebody named Smoke, an independent crypto researcher, but the name is spelled SMQKE. All right. If you want to look into the individual, that's who discovered this. So now let's continue on. It says here, the report argues that XRP, while not conferring legal ownership, which is not necessary, people just want to make a lot of money off of XRP, which right now, not financial advice, looks like they're going to make a lot more. Let's be real. Some people already did make a lot of money off of XRP. And this was 50 cents, 60 cents is not there anymore. Somebody cashed out on that. When it went up to $2, somebody cashed out. Somebody had a hell of a lot of XRP. But once again, it looks like it can skyrocket to a much higher place. That's what people are hoping for. But let's continue on. Let's continue forward. It says, where did we leave off? Sorry about that. An ad literally popped up and covered up the sentence, literally. The report argues that XRP, while not conferring legal ownership or entitlements like dividends or voting rights, still functions like a vehicle for sharing Ripple's future business success. Of course. Well, listen, we've known that for a long time. Listen, Ripple is holding a ton of it, not just for utility, but because they know it's going to be worth a lot of money. A lot of money. So they're holding some. They don't have to say this. This is logical. So when the price goes up, they can liquidate it at any time that they want. That money can go into projects. That money can go into their pocket, whatever they want to do. Some way that they can benefit from XRP. That's the biggest reason that they deal with so much XRP, or they wouldn't. If it was, listen, so that also flips the other way. So anybody who has some XRP, as Ripple, Volante Tech, SBI are sprinkling around the use of XRP everywhere, which you see them pushing it everywhere, right? And there's a lot of great progression going on. You see the special mechanisms for it, so it's necessary. As that price starts to rise up, whoever's lucky enough, whoever had the will, the iron will to be there when that happens, and there's not a lot, they will benefit from that very same effort. They will benefit in that very same way. As the price rises, it's going to rise for them as well, obviously. I know I probably said that in such a basic way. It's like, man, come on, man. You could have put that a little bit more intellectually. I just say it exactly how I'm thinking it. Sometimes it comes out in a more, eloquent way. Sometimes not. Let's get back to the article. It says it suggests that investors are seen as betting on Ripple's long-term profitability. Ripple plays a big part, but they're not the only ones. Here's the thing. Ripple plays a big part. SBI plays a big part. Anybody building on XRPL plays a big part. The hope is that even more companies, and I believe they will, I think that's what we're going to see in the future. The hope is that even more companies want to build on the XRPL. Even more companies want a piece of controlling or building on or innovating on the best, the number one bank coin blockchain. And that's how it's promoted. And that is going to also lend to the price going up. And, you see that $10 XRP price, $15 XRP price. And if you believe it goes beyond, that could lend to that for sure. I think a lot of banks are going to hire companies to build on the XRPL. They'll probably do that and pair whatever they have, something that they funded to incorporate that with Ripple technologies, if that makes sense. And the reason I say that is because we've seen that before. We've seen that plenty of times. We've seen them take two different bank coin companies and smash them together and use one for this reason and that one for another reason. We observed that happen with a couple of banks, with R3 and a few other. It was R3. R3 is the one they brought in to really make sure everything was running correctly. After they had problems with, certain systems were a little bit limited. So they combine R3 with those systems. I'm trying not to drop names and stuff like that. I'm not trying to put a chain down, etc. It wasn't one of our bank coins, so it is not consequential, but still, I want to show a little bit of respect. So now let's scroll down here a little bit more. The report argued that XRP's value hinges on the success of Ripple's infrastructure. Ripple, SBI, Uphold. Once again, yes, but Ripple is the major player. No doubt about it. It's the major player. But the hope is that it's not going to be the only major player. But we shall see. Look, I'll take it. If it's going to be just Ripple is the reason why the price skyrockets, so be it. So be it. I'll take it. The goal here at all times is not for me, in my opinion, and for people like me, is not to fall in love with the technology, but to make a lot of value off the technology right off into the sunset. That's always the goal. So now, oops. It says, despite this, the report also calls attention to an important nuance. It claimed XRP doesn't provide formal investor protections typically associated with security. No, but I don't understand that. Why is that even a concern? Is that a concern for you personally? Because that's not a concern for most people. We've been dealing with cryptos for years. You buy the crypto at a low price, right? Not financial advice. I'm just saying how it is. You buy the crypto at a low price, especially when it's down and everybody's running scared. You buy some of that, a good amount of it. It goes up and then you sell it and you make profit. It's very, very simple. It only becomes complicated if people start to doubt themselves and get a little bit emotional. Those doubt, you can't have doubts. Anything a person wants to be very successful at, you have to believe beyond everyone else, beyond all doubts, because people are going to throw doubts on you. You have to believe. If you don't, you're not going to make it to the top of that mountain. And I don't know about you, but I'm not here to see the side of the mountain. I'm here to make it to the top of the mountain. I want to see the end result. I'm here to win it all. But if you're going to be like that, you want that type of result, you have to believe, period. And that's the best I can say. That's the best I can. And don't doubt yourself. You only you bring down your own mind. Do not defeat yourself. And I'm not talking about crypto. I'm talking about in life. It doesn't matter what it is. You should believe as let's say you're being healthy, you're eating healthy, you're exercising, but you should also, your mind plays a huge role in that as well. You need to believe you're healthy. You'd be surprised how powerful the mind is. You're going into a competition. Sure, you did all the practice and such. You're physically fit. You're capable of performing, but you can't have a weak mind. You must believe. Even when everyone else is telling you you can't win, you have to believe. So that you have to have that mentality in everything if you want to make it to the top of the heap. All right, so now let's move on here. We have more articles. Don't worry about it. A major sign. So more major activity. This article is titled, Ripple reportedly proposes $11 billion in cash in XRP to outbid Coinbase over Circle acquisition. Now, one thing you know about stablecoins is stablecoins don't always have liquidity. That's another aspect people have to keep in mind. We've seen it before. You know, stablecoins can easily lose their liquidity, get depegged, etc. And with Ripple, if they do acquire Circle and Ripple when it comes to RLUSD, XRP always is going to be there to provide liquidity. It's as simple as that. And that's a major factor. And I'm looking at that because I'm like, that's interesting here. If what's the stable coin for Circle? USDC. If USDC ever ran into a problem, didn't they have a problem before? They got depegged before. Remember that? And then people were. It was something was going on. I think it was during those bank collapses, and this USDC got depegged. I believe. Don't quote me on this, but look it up. A few stablecoins got depegged at that time, and then Coinbase froze USDC, I believe, at that time as well. They froze it so people couldn't liquidate anymore, right? Which was crazy. And it's like people just forgot about that. But anyway, now, keeping that in mind, I don't see Ripple running into those problems. That's going to bring even more business. The fact that Ripple can say, listen, we don't have to worry about liquidity. We have XRP right here. XRP provides the liquidity for itself and for any stable coin that we deal with. That's going to bring a lot of businesses in to get comfortable, to use mechanisms. Those mechanisms run on XRP. Maybe that boosts the price a little bit. I don't know. We'll see. But the article says this: popular business magazine Fortune, citing four sources familiar with the matter, reports that Circle is currently having informal discussions to be sold to either Ripple or Coinbase. Listen, from what I just said, that whole where they froze USDC, there was some problem with it. It got depegged. Coinbase took certain actions. I say just sell it to Ripple. I say sell it to Ripple. I think you'll ensure USDC is in good hands. That's my thoughts on that. I don't trust Coinbase. I don't trust them. No disrespect to Coinbase. They've done a great job over the years. Everyone's going to have a problem sooner or later, but still, because of that, what happened there and the actions they took, no. I don't trust Coinbase. Just my way. That's how I feel. This latest development follows a Bloomberg report indicating that Ripple offered to buy Circle for $4 billion to $5 billion. However, the USDC stablecoin issuer rejected the offer as, quote, too low. We read about that before. According to private equity and why do they do this? See that? I didn't do anything. And then the page, well, you didn't see it, but the computer's like right here, right? Leave my computer. And the page just went up and down because it's loading these ads. Now that I don't like. I don't mind ads. Let the ad, sure, get your money. But make it where it doesn't adjust the page like that because I lost my sentence. My apologies, folks. I think we left off here. Circle is seeking a minimum offer of $5 billion, the same amount it aims to be valued at if it goes public through an IPO as intended. Coinbase's advantage. The Fortune, this is the next section. The Fortune report portrays Coinbase as having an advantage over Ripple. One source claimed that Circle might sell itself to Coinbase if the San Francisco-based exchange decides to acquire it. It did it again. It adjusted the page again. The ads reloaded. New ads. And it just went like this. Okay, let me keep going. This reasoning stems from the relationship between Coinbase and Circle, which led to the launch of the Center Consortium crypto project in 2018. This project aimed to drive the global adoption of payment stablecoins through USDC. Okay, well, am I missing? I feel like I'm missing something today. What is the advantage? Following the conclusion of the venture's terms in 2023, Coinbase acquired a minority stake in Circle. On the other hand, Circle took over control of the stablecoin's governance. Despite this arrangement, Coinbase and Circle have been sharing revenue from the cash and short-term securities backing USDC. Also, Coinbase has a current agreement with Circle that prohibits the latter from forming any partnership that would negatively, did it again, my apologies. That's why I have to explain why. If I pause or, what's going on here, just roll with me, please. All right. That would negatively affect the exchange's revenue on USDC. According to the agreement, Circle can only enter into such partnerships with Coinbase's consent. All right, that's wild. But you agree to it. What are you going to do? But once again, like I said, I believe if I think USDC will be in good hands with Ripple. I think it'll dominate even more than it's been doing in the hands of Ripple. This is just what they do. Ripple is aggressive globally with whatever it is they're pushing, and USDC would fit right into their plans. It definitely would. Now, let's move on from there. And actually, let's see how much time we have left on the video. I want to get to this article first. So we may come back to some XRP news in a moment, but there is more. Yes, there is. This article here is titled, if it'll load up here, JP Morgan allows clients to buy Bitcoin. This is after years and years of representatives from JP Morgan, going against Bitcoin. Why is that happening now? What does that tell you? It tells me Bitcoin is going way past the moon. And they know it. And there's so much money that stands to be made, they can't stay on the sidelines. They can't. This is the best sign ever when you start to see companies, not just JP Morgan, there's others as well, but they're doing it more quietly. Of course, JP Morgan is going to make the news. They're a big company. But when you start to see companies and individuals that were against Bitcoin, and even though it definitely is a stain on their reputation, it's like, well, you said this and now you're doing that. You're being, what do they call that? I can't think of the word, but you're going against your own word. That tells you how potent it is. That tells you how high that money can go. And that also says you haven't seen anything yet. I mean, the people out there haven't seen anything yet. There's too many businesses, too many big catalysts for Bitcoin right now, period. That's just the way that it is. And no, I don't think it's going to last forever. But right now, that's the way that it is. Let me read this little tidbit to you. It says, JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon said that the asset management firm will allow its clients to purchase Bitcoin. The firm will, however, not custody the cryptocurrency, he added. It says, quote, I am not a fan, unquote, of Bitcoin, the billionaire CEO clarified. I respect that. I respect that because he's been saying that this entire time. So kudos to you, sir. It says, for standing on your square and not changing. It says he was addressing the company's investor day on May 19th when he made these remarks with a market cap of $740 billion. JP Morgan Chase is the world's largest bank that has more than $4 trillion in assets under management. Dimon's concession to the cryptocurrency is noteworthy given his earlier characterization of Bitcoin as, quote, a fraud, unquote, in September 2017. Yes, well, here's the thing. He has to allow his clients to do what they want to do because they have to keep the clients happy and they have to satisfy their people. But he himself is not budging on that. That's the thing. So there's a balance there, right? So let's scroll down here. They go over some of the things he said negatively about Bitcoin, but does that matter now? It doesn't matter at all. As per Kraken, at the time of this article, Bitcoin was trading at $103,365 at press time. Regarding the blockchain technology that forms the infrastructure of the crypto economy, Dimon said it doesn't matter as much as you think. Sir, at this point, as long as your clients are going to be able to buy Bitcoin, what you say, it doesn't matter anymore. You know, it doesn't matter anymore. It's over. It's over. Bitcoin won. It won. And it's going to continue to win for a short time. Yes. A few years. I think for a few years, like maybe like 2 years, I think Bitcoin is going to look really, really strong. Once I start seeing majority of businesses involved in crypto, then I start asking some tough questions and saying, hey, wait a minute. It might be time to say bye to Bitcoin. Some people are not like that. Everybody's different. Some people are going to be in Bitcoin forever. That's their way. To each his own. It says, note that the Wall Street giant only recently settled its first transaction on a public blockchain on May 14th. The settlement involved tokenized U.S. treasuries. Diamond claimed that everything is changing. Everything's getting exposed. Before, there was so much information the last few years saying, well, these banks won't use public blockchains. And now they did. They have. And this is why watching what entities and individuals do is more powerful than what people speculate they're going to do. Look, they've been going against everything that they've ever said. A lot of these bank industry representatives were going against crypto. Now they're deeply involved with crypto. Come on. They've known all along what's coming. It's a game it's a game that they're playing. And they've played it well, to be honest. They've driven a lot of people away. These prices should be way higher than where they are right now. I mean, do you disagree with that? They should be way higher than where they are now. Even now, they've only let the leash loose a little bit on the prices. And I believe that's by design. I firmly believe that they want to be in control of when everything takes off. You saw recently when, I can't remember which day this was. Things have been so busy. I've been working on a lot of specialized projects lately. So my apologies, folks. I've been worn out. And I've been working very, very hard also. I know you have also. I hope that you're getting relaxation and rest in, okay? But there was a day where Bitcoin, the price went up. And then it dipped down. And I said to myself in that moment, and maybe I shouldn't have really jumped on that moment and said this, but I thought to myself, they brought that down on purpose. Like they needed to slow that bullish momentum. It was like Bitcoin price went up significantly. And then there was a massive amount of selling, like all at one time. It seemed orchestrated to me. It seemed, folks, I could be wrong. I try to stay as balanced as I can. I am but a person. It looked rigged to me. They're keeping the prices down until they're ready, until their friends get in. Now, most regular people see Bitcoin's price and other crypto prices and say, well, they're high. They're high. They're high to us. They're high to the normal person's, vision. But to these companies, it's not high at all. Not yet. Not yet. I think what they're anticipating is much greater than what most people think. And I feel like we're seeing evidence of that every day. I do. All right. So now that you have the information, what are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with it. So until next time, everybody, let's get to the money.